everybody, what's going on? Hope you're having a safe and awesome week. Today I'm going to be reviewing a book that I was super excited to get. It's my first Power Rangers book, and that is Frank Gogel's Power Rangers Unlimited: Edge of Darkness. This was published by Boom Studios, again written by Frank Gogel. It was illustrated by Simone Ragazzoni, and the cover, which is this one right here, which is the one that I got, was also done by Simone. It was colored by Igor Monti, with color assistance by Sabrina Del Grosso, and it was lettered by Ed Dukeshire. Again, this is my first Power Rangers comic. I'm familiar with Power Rangers. I watched it up until the first movie, I believe, but kind of lost track of it after that. I was really excited to get this book, mainly because I'm a huge fan of Frank. And I'll give you my thoughts on this particular comic when I'm done with the review. You can kind of guess where it's going to go, though. But anyway, let's get to the review. So it opens up on the planet Hartunia. It's the aftermath of an Imperial attack. We follow a lone figure. He's walking across the battle zone. It's littered with skulls. This figure is the Phantom Ranger, a character I am not familiar with at all. He reaches up to his helmet and activates his communicator, and he says, "Zordon, I'm at the last planet an Imperial was sighted. It's so much worse than we ever imagined." Then we cut to 10,000 years in the past on the planet of Dakar, I want to say, and it's a mother consoling her daughter. The girl is scared. The mother says, "It's okay, just close your eyes tight and don't open them, no matter what you hear." And when the little girl turns around, we see her mother battling the Tenga, I think is what they're called. They're the raven-like humanoid birds. I think they're called the Tenga. They want the girl, who turns out to be Rita, as an offering to their lord. The Great Darkness is what they call this thing at first. Before they can do any of this, the Phantom Ranger, that we see as kind of see-through as the audience, but is invisible to the Tenga, comes in and kind of takes them out for a time. He tells the mother, who we find out her name is Lady Fienna, that Zordon has sent him to rescue them. The Tenga come to and chase them, and Phantom Ranger once again fights him off. One of the Tenga kind of looks like a high priest sort of figure. He's got the hat and wearing a different uniform than the rest of them. He bites into this strange glowing fruit, and he kind of hulks out. The Phantom Ranger tells Lady Fienna where his ship is at, and it's programmed to take her and Rita to safety. Basically saying his mission is to get them off the planet and to Zordon, even if it costs him his own life. Because she's like, "Well, aren't you coming with us?" And he's pretty much going to be the diversion and the distraction so they can get safely to his ship. So they take off, and the fight between the Phantom Ranger and the Tenga High Priest ensues. Now, the fight panels are kind of intercut with Lady Fienna telling Rita a story about a brave little girl to take Rita's mind off of everything that's going on. So Rita and Lady Fienna make it to the ship, and it cuts to a panel of the Phantom Ranger being wounded, like the High Priest Tenga just like right there in his gut, it looks like. And when Lady Fienna gets on the ship, there's a kind of like an AI that's asking her if she'd like to begin launch sequence or something along those lines, if she wants to go ahead and get off the planet. And she hesitates for a second, and then it asks her again. It cuts back to the High Priest fixing to finish the Phantom Ranger off, and before the final blow can be dealt, Lady Fienna appears, and she's powerful in her own right. I think it's magic. I want to say it's magic. She kind of Iron Man repulsors the Tenga High Priest and saves the Phantom Ranger and brings him back to the ship. Phantom Ranger is badly injured, and Lady Fianna finds out that his suit is leaking grid energy, which I don't know too much about the grid. This is just what I read, so this is what I put in my notes. But it's leaking grid energy, which is what the suit is powered by. She tries using her magic, her power, to patch him up, and while this is happening, the panel says he's somewhere else, which to me seems like that he's drifting in and out of consciousness. Maybe he's on the plane right before death. The AI tells Lady Fianna that the suit, life force, and power ruby are all connected. So damage to his suit caused the other systems to fail. So as he's falling deeper and deeper into death, Rita starts telling him a story. And it turns out she has magic and powers of her own, because she makes these like little light puppets. And the story is about a mother, a father, and a daughter, and how the father was taken away by Master Vile. Well, there's a voiceover from Phantom Ranger who says that Rita has a kind heart and a brightness about her like the grid itself. And when he hears her say Master Vile, he says Master Vile is still out there. The Dark Spectre is still out there. Now, this is the first time I've heard of the Dark Spectre, so I'm not familiar with that either. But he says they're still out there, and that his work isn't done, so he fights his way back from like death's door. So when he comes to, Lady Fianna has rerouted them to a place where he can recharge his suit. It's called the Master Forge. Now, this forge, the station, they're kind of littered throughout the galaxy where grid energy is like very prevalent. And basically what they do is they collect and store this grid energy. It's here where she talks to Phantom Ranger, and she says her and her husband Eldon were researchers who studied the grid and found a way to actually peer into it. It showed her a vision of the woman Rita might become, but when Eldon looked into it, he saw something darker, and he heard a voice, and this voice was the Dark Spectre. Eldon becomes obsessed with bringing the Dark Spectre into their world, but he would need a vessel, which, as you can guess, would have been Rita. For some reason, their universe was hostile to the Dark Spectre's true form. So Zordon had actually helped Lady Fianna and Rita get away, and they've been running ever since. Phantom Ranger says we need to use the equipment, fix his suit, and then get both of them to Zordon, because he thinks Master Vile is actually already on his way to them, like he's already tracked them down. While they're having this conversation, Lady Fianna kind of deduces that the Phantom Ranger isn't powered by grid energy, but he's made of it. That his suit wasn't bleeding the grid energy, that he was bleeding this energy. And like I said, I know nothing of the character, so this was kind of a shock to me. I was like, oh wow. So they put him in, and they shoot the beam of grid energy at him, and it seems to help him, seems to fix him. And then Lady Fianna thinks, well, if we infuse Rita with enough of this grid energy, that maybe she would become too hostile for the Dark Spectre to use as a vessel. So they start Rita on the infusion, but then they're attacked by the Tenga again. So Phantom Ranger ends up fighting them again, and he defeats them. By this time, Rita's been in the machine long enough. She's starting to talk about how she's in a lot of pain. So Phantom Ranger steps onto the platform with her and kneels down beside her and puts his hand on her and tells her that he's with her, and just to focus on his voice. Lady Fianna ramps up the power, and there's a surge of energy which causes an explosion, and she's killed. And now we don't see her die in this panel. We just see the explosion. What happens is Master Vile shows up, and it turns out he's Eldon. He's Rita's father. So he knocks the Phantom Ranger out of the way, and he kind of turns into his Eldon form and reaches out to hold Rita. He tells her all these sweet things. It's a really sweet moment. And then he smells the grid energy on her. And then it gets heartbreaking because he says, well, the child's been ruined. And reverts back to his Master Vile form. And he says, curse you, Fienna. And that's when we see her laying on the ground. She's dead. He then tells the Phantom Ranger that this shall be your prison. I'm going to make this the most horrible place you've ever been. I'm going to keep you here forever. He's saying all this until an alarm goes off saying the grid battery core is compromised and a catastrophic event is imminent. Now he feels like he's been, cheated twice in a day. And he basically says, well, if it can't be your prison, then it's going to be your grave. And they leave the Phantom Ranger to be blown up, and they take Rita. So the station explodes, but we see the Phantom Ranger floating in the debris. We cut back to where the beginning of the book started, where he's on the planet of Hartunia. Zordon asked him what he's learned of the Imperial threat, to which the Phantom Ranger responds, it's not the Imperial, Zordon. They finally did it. He's here. The Dark Spectre has crossed over. And that's where the book ends. And here's what I have to say about it. You probably already guessed it. I love this. From my first Power Rangers book, I am so glad that I picked up a Frank Gogol written Power Rangers. Boom Studios, if you're watching this, please let Frank write more Power Rangers. And while you're at it, let Frank get on the next Power Rangers Ninja Turtles crossover. Because I'm telling you, that would just print money. This story was so good. It makes me want to read more Power Ranger stuff, even if Frank's not on it. To be honest with you, because this the beginning of this kind of has a connection to a previous book. I can't remember which one it said what it was, but this book was so good. And I'm sorry the review was so long. There was so many notes that I took because I was afraid to leave anything out. Frank has a writing style that's just it's so interwoven that I felt like if I skipped something that I would mess up and miss a big part of the story. But this was so good. If you haven't checked it out, please do. If you like this, check out Frank's other work. He's got a book called Grief. He's got his critically acclaimed Dead End Kids and Dead End Kids, The Suburban Job. The book that started me on Frank, which was No Heroine, which I believe he's going to be doing a No Heroine 2. And then on September 29th, Frank's most anticipated book so far, Unborn, comes out. Sean and I actually got a variant copy of issue number 1. I gotta tell you, this thing is great. It is a mix between Power Rangers and Aliens. See, there's a theme here with the Power Rangers. But it's so good. Definitely not for kids. It's definitely a teen and up book. But we loved it. Sean's got a review of it done. We're going to post that the week that the comic hits stores. But yeah, just anything Frank writes, check out. I believe most of his books, other than this one, I believe most of his books are done through Source Point Press. But check out Frank's other work. I'm telling you, this guy is so good. I'm such a huge fan of his. And I can't wait for more stories from Frank. That's going to do it all for me today, folks. Thanks for watching. You stay safe, you stay healthy, and I will catch you next time. Later, tots.